Thank you for being here. Thank you, Jerry, for making that call. I, unlike Mark, thought you were actually calling for money. It was, that's his job, it's okay. It was a relief to hear. It was actually to honor Rachael Stern, who I have the privilege of introducing today. Coming back to Charleston for me has been wonderful. It's, I think, second time back since I've left and moved on to greener pastures, much like Mark. But it is a home. I consider this my second home. I was born in Michigan, but Charleston has always had my heart. And I live in New York City, so there's a lot of things there as well, but this place really is special to me because of people like Rachael and people like Mark, who Mark and I actually coached with each other. His office was a little bit away from me, but I had the privilege of spending time with Mark as well. So when I began to think about this, and my table here kind of laughed, they're like, did you prepare anything? I said, no, not really. They're like, just like how you coached. I said, yeah, pretty much. It was from the gut. We changed things up. We did what we needed to at the time. But Charleston is special, and Rachael made it very special. The teams that I coach here were remarkable. I think they still hold, I think, Linda, a lot of the records, which I'm sure Linda's teams will beat. But there's nothing like getting in your car or whatever, however y'all got over to Patriots Point, crossing that bridge, and knowing you're going to take that field, right? There was nothing like sending them on a run over to the golf course, knowing wholeheartedly they actually didn't run, that they stopped about a quarter of the way. We caught on, started using a golf cart, and the whole time I was like, great run, guys. That was great. That was good. They all wanted to come get water right after because they were so parched from that run. But the truth was they wanted to put it on their face so it looked like they actually sweated. To the gigantic, gigantic mosquitoes over at Patriots Point. I'm not a big TV person, but I finally watched Game of Thrones, and I swear to God, those mosquitoes were the star dragons in that movie. I have never, we used to actually get full catcher's gear to go back to retrieve balls, many of which were hit by Amanda Cohn, who's in attendance today, one of the most prolific hitters in college softball. So I bring this up because, as Mark said, it is about being a family. We had a tremendous, tremendous run. And when I got the call from Jerry, he said, Coach, what's her number? I said, I don't know. I felt like a horrible coach and a horrible person. And then what I realized is nobody knew. I called my assistant coaches. I reached out to some of the players. One person knew, Melissa Weigel, who was her catcher. Makes sense. But Rachael didn't know. Rachael had to go in her jewelry box and look at her championship ring to find out what number she wore in college. This is relevant because that's who Rachael Stern is. So you're number 10. We got that now. I think we've convinced ourselves that that's appropriate. But how remarkable is it that for somebody so accomplished, she was so unremarkable by the jersey that she wore, and it was remembered by what she did? Number 4. See, I just got it wrong. Shay, number 4. She was it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what jersey she wore. Rachael took us on an incredible run to 2 regular season championships and to a regional appearance in Tennessee. But Rachael just showed up, right? When you're part of a team, you're part of a family. Not only a family, but it's part of your DNA. No matter where you go, no matter how far you are, Amelia, you'll attest to that, you're always going to be part of this family. You get that call, you sit at these tables, and it's just like you've seen them yesterday. You follow their lives. Sometimes social media is good. In this case, it is, to figure out that they're married, they're accomplished, they have children. They're good people. They're contributing back to society. So yay to social media for that. But they become your DNA. And, Rachael quietly showed up. She did her job. She was a pitcher, which I assume she may talk about, in a day where now, for those of you who don't know a lot about softball, pitchers throw 70, 72 miles an hour. That is equivalent, so we'll convert all you baseball guys, to about a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. Rachael threw 58 on a good day. Rachael didn't have the strikeout record. She didn't throw hard. She had 3 pitches. Fastball, well, we could say you had 5, but you really had 3. Fastball, changeup, and drop ball. By the end of her career, she actually only had a fastball. She was so committed that she hit her spots, right? There was, again, nothing flashy about Rachael. She showed up, and she did her job. She took us to a championship game against University of Tennessee Chattanooga, who had won the championship for years and years and years. I remember on my interview here, I actually sat down with a group of kids. They said, "Coach, what are your goals?" I said, "Within 3 years, we're going to win that championship." And they laughed at me. They told me later that they thought I was crazy. Well, it happened. And it happened primarily because of Rachael and the kids, or now the young women, that's in the audience today. So we're playing, and we're down 4 runs in the 6th inning. As a coach, you're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What? 3 runs. See, that's the guy who showed up every Mark. Thank you, Marcus. You're right. He knows. You're absolutely right. Coaches are allowed to have revisionist history, though. Like, we make stuff up all the time. It was bigger, it was better. The fish was this big. We were down 3 runs. And, I was such a quiet and patient coach. Not. I decided that I should step up and have a few words in the 6th inning with my team. I took 2 steps out of the dugout. All of a sudden, Rachael Stern gives me the hand. Rachael never said anything all day, every day. Hey, Coach, how are you? What would you like me to do? That's it. And she goes, I got this. I'm like, okay. One of the few times in my life I stepped back and I chose to listen, which was a good move on my part. I will not repeat, because as Jerry said, this is being filmed, what she said, but she was very direct to the point of her expectations, that she had worked this hard to get everybody this far, and they were not going to let her down. Lo and behold, I think, Marcus, I'm sure you know better than I, Renee Hicks hit a grand slam over the fence, and we won. That took us to Tennessee. This is also relevant because when we got there were 4 teams at the time in a regional. It was us, Virginia Tech, University of Tennessee, at Miami of Ohio. And when you get to that level, the people come out and they're like, hey, you're at this seed, you practice at this time. So one of the NCAA reps comes out and he's talking to me. He says, Coach, since you're the number 2 seed, you will have this time. And I looked at him, I said, I'm sorry? And he said, yeah, you're the number 2 seed. I go, we thought we were the 4 seed. And he goes, you're the 2 seed. And Stacy, who was our athletic trainer at the time, said, Coach, this shit just got real. I said, oh my God. I said, let's not tell anyone. Because our teams literally didn't care. Rachael, you say, Rachael, her dad would call her and say, hey, who'd you play? I don't know, they had a red jersey. It's true. Tennessee, at that time, had Monica Abbott, who's now currently one of the best softball players in our history, and it was an Olympian. And Virginia Tech had Angela Tincher, who also was an Olympian. So the College of Charleston, with our team, is going to play and face 2 of the greatest pitchers of all time. And you know what? They didn't know. And they didn't care. And they played like it. They played for each other like a family. So it's just astounding to me. Nobody knows Rachael outside of College of Charleston. She's not going to be an All-American. She's not going to be on ESPN or do any of those things, nor does she want to. You'll hear that. She's terrified, so, give her some love when she comes up here. But she showed up. Rachael showed up. And, very quietly and very unassuming. That's who she was. I left after your senior year, I left to go to the Big Ten. And I get a call. And it's Melissa Weigel, and it's Rachael. And they say, hey, Coach, I forgot something back in Charleston. I said, okay. So can we come bring it? Sure. Well, it was my ring. You showed up. So, Mark, you started this. I was so prepared not to be emotional. But that's who Rachael is, right? She shows up in life. She shows up as a teammate. She becomes part of your DNA. So it is my absolute pleasure to recognize you into the Hall of Fame, Rachael Stern.
So, Mr. Baker said that we are all great public speakers, but, sorry. Thanks, Coach. Mr. Baker came up this morning and said that we were all great public speakers, but that was a lie. I hate being the center of attention, and I was a pitcher when I was here at the College of Charleston, and I really hate public speaking, and I'm a teacher, so I don't understand why I'm so nervous, but I just want to say, congratulations to all the other people that are being inducted this morning. When Mr. Baker called me, I was in the middle of a planning lesson, so I couldn't answer my phone. And later on, I read the message on my phone, and he said it was Jerry Baker from the Cougar Club. And I was like, oh boy, he's going to call and ask me for money. And as a teacher, if I have any extra money, it's going towards retirement. So at the end of the day, I called him back, and we kind of played phone tag a little bit. And he called me up, and first thing he said was, I'm not calling and asking for money. And I said, okay. And he's like, well, I wanted to call and let you know that you're being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I was like, what? And he started talking again, and I said, Mr. Baker, could you please email me this information? Because I still don't understand what's going on. So I do appreciate being up here this morning. It's truly an honor. It's definitely a surprise because my career here at the College of Charleston was only 3 years long. A lot of people ask me why I was only here for 3 years, and I have to tell them that Coach and coach staff originally recruited me to come play at Charleston Southern, right down the road. And played freshman year, went home expecting to come back the following year, and I was having some issues with my back, went to a doctor, and I heard that one word that one athlete never wants to hear, which was surgery. Because as some athletes discover, you might not come out the same and your career may be over. Well, luckily I had an amazing surgeon who fixed me right up, told me I was good to go to play back softball, and then I got a call from Coach who said she was transferring to College of Charleston. So my heart broke because I really enjoyed my freshman year with her and Coach Steph, and Coach said, well, how would you feel about transferring to the College of Charleston and becoming a Cougar? And hands down, I said, absolutely. So I came back for 3 years, and I learned a lot from her and Coach Steph. We definitely learned teamwork, we learned accountability, we learned mental toughness, and I had quite a few experiences of what happened if you threw big fat pumpkins down the middle of the plate. I would look over in the dugout, and sometimes Coach did not have a smile on her face. Sometimes Coach Steph came out and gave me words of encouragement. Other times she said for me to get my head out of some place and focus on what I needed to focus on. But the environment that I grew up in with my mom and dad, the way Coach and Coach Steph treated me back then was no different than how my parents raised me. My mom was always my biggest cheerleader. She started coaching me when I was pigtails, back in slow pitch days. And then as I got older, my dad took over as my coach for fast pitch. And he raised me with that tough love. Like, Coach was saying, I didn't quite pay attention to who I was playing. I didn't care who I was playing. I knew I had one job to do and one job only. So one of my first memories with my dad was pitching in the backyard. He would go out there and pitch with me for 45 minutes to an hour, to the point where he would have to tell me to put your glove down, you need to rest. If it wasn't for him, I probably would have thrown out my arm before I hit teenage years. But he was also the kind of coach that when the team needed a good chewing out, he would. One moment in particular, he came out to the middle of the mound, told everybody else to go away. It was just he and I. And we were in that situation where it was 7th inning. All of a sudden, I walked a couple batters, got the bases loaded, and instead of coming out and giving me a pep talk, he looked right at me and said, if you walk this last batter, you lost the game for your team. Well, in a fairy tale, I would have struck out that last batter, we would have won the game, and I would have lived happily ever after. Instead, I walked that last batter and realized I just cost the game for my team. So with that in always the back of my mind, I knew that no matter what was going on, I had a job to do. Standing up here today, I'm very honored to be receiving this award, to be receiving this induction, but I could not have done it without the support of the people behind me. So when I got the email about being inducted into the Hall of Fame, Ms. Spellman sent me my bio, and she said, would you please read over this and let me know if the information's correct? Well, the only thing I checked was, did you spell my first name correctly? Because in all my years playing softball, nobody ever spelled my first name correctly. So first name was spelled correctly. That's all I cared about. As Coach alluded to, I don't know my personal stats. I can't tell you how many innings I threw. I can't tell you how many games I won. I can look at my ring and tell you how many games the team won, but I can't tell you any of my personal stats. So I'm assuming all those stats are correct, Marcus. I'm sure if they weren't, you'll let us know. But as Coach alluded to, we were a family. We did a lot of good things together. We had a lot of comeback wins. We had a lot of difficult games that we won, but we also had some games that we lost. And looking at my stats, it said that I gave up 526 hits in my career, 208 runs, 146 which were earned. I walked 203 batters. I had 29 wild pitches, and apparently I hit 24 batters. So with all those players running around the bases, obviously I could not have done it without the help of my support staff. Natalie, when I was having my bad days, you picked me up. I was there to pick you up. That's definitely something that as a team that we do. So I will stand up here today and accept this award for my hard work, but I'm also going to accept it for the hard work of the ladies who were behind me 100% of the time. So thank you, Coach. Thank you, team. And I love you guys.